What's up, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Chromecast. My name's Joe, joined here today by Robbie.
What's up?
And Gabriel.
Couple more months.
And Andy Cam.
Hey, what's up, guys?
He's going to go to Andy next.
He is, I guarantee
Andy.
it. I mean,
He'll get
Oh, yeah,
first.
Andy Cam's going to start getting the first.
Then we'll have a
intro.
guest, and that'll reset everything. I'll
For
never
sure.
be
It's gonna be a
first to you.
while. It's
Never.
gonna be a while.
Andy said not to set up the Andy Cam. And I was like, what are you talking about? We have to have the Andy
Yeah.
Cam. Now I'm going to make it a point to cut to you like as many times as I can.
We're just going to keep referencing you so
Yeah.
you can't not do it.
So,
I'm just going to replace myself with a picture of Mayor Humdinger. It's fine.
yeah, exactly.
Nobody will know the difference.
He's going to get
We
things
just-
started and leave.
You just get a screen grab of one of the shots, and it's just static Mayor Humdinger. You're gonna need to do that right now. Go ahead
Yeah,
and make
we
that
could
note.
actually
Yeah.
do it and throw it in here. We'll find some other thing. Just tape the printout of Mayor Humdinger's face.
Exactly.
Really poorly placed.
Yes.
Not.
I love it. So for anybody watching the video version on YouTube, thanks to anybody and everybody who subscribed last week.
Yeah.
Seriously.
We had a
like crazy.
we had an influx of new subscribers.
Big week for the podcast.
Thank
video.
you all so much. That was amazing. Do it again. Anybody that's watching, if you're
Yeah,
watching on
tell
YouTube,
people.
go down there and click subscribe. If you like the video, give it a little thumbs up. That helps too. Helps
Yeah.
the algorithm
What if
and the notification bell.
this is
That way you get an
this
alert.
is reaching? But what if people saw the Lou Later clip, and while in YouTube said, "Who the heck is Chrome Unboxed?"
Looked it up.
And
Perhaps.
they looked up Chrome Unboxed, and they down the rabbit hole ended up on
Yeah.
the podcast.
I'm curious. So I'm going incognito
Uh-oh.
here, and so I'm gonna pretend I watched a clip.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, Chrome
Unboxed
What does that
podcast.
mean? No, so they didn't reference the podcast.
Yeah.
They
No,
just stuck
no,
Chrome
it's
Unboxed.
just-
I'm just curious if our podcast shows up in any way.
No.
Probably not.
Not
It
at
does
all.
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Hey, what was
All-
that one with
all our
Linus?
videos.
I did have I did add podcast
Forced to buy a
onto
Chromebook.
the
We must
onto
be in
the
the
YouTube channel.
comments somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, please, if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe. It helps us out. We are trying to definitely grow the video portion of this. We really enjoy doing the video portion.
Yeah, and I think it's
Andy
it's
Cam's
resonating
done a
with
great
a lot
job.
of people.
Yeah.
I know I watch more of our podcast than I ever listened to.
Absolutely.
So
For sure.
I'm sure that that helps with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And if you're if you've been watching, you might notice that we're trying out a different desk. We've used a little round table
We
on
stole-
Andy's on the Andy Cam. You can probably see it over there.
We stole it from a kindergartner's classroom.
It was a commandeered is what we commandeered it.
Yeah.
We're gonna give it back. We just borrowed it for an extended
it
period
did
of time.
hit me because we commandeered another one of those tables from the co-working space that's kind of outside of our office, and we put it in one of the spaces in our big room.
Yeah.
And we've been eating lunch at it.
Yeah.
Then I realized, like, oh my God, we have two of them. I keep forgetting this one's back here. It's one of those. It's not ours. Like, it hit me today for some reason. I'm like, so
we just
out of the three that belong to the co-working space, we now have we've taken two.
Well,
we just
well,
took
no
them.
one else is
you know.
using
I know, but we
No.
also we just took them.
yeah. I told Kenny that we borrowed them,
Yeah.
commandeered them.
I feel like, commandeered or take. We
yeah.
took them.
Yeah, we
That's
took
a
'em.
better thing to say.
Yeah.
That's what we did. We took it.
But I like this setup. So shout out
I do
to Peter McKinnon, and you can say his name better than me.
Matty Hapoya.
Okay, and Maddie. So they did the Pete and Maddie show, and for their podcast they were doing. I think they stopped doing it, but they did it for several episodes there for a while. It was a really fun podcast, but obviously both being YouTube creators, they had a really dope video setup.
Looks great.
And we'd like to probably get a darker table, maybe. Might not end up using this specific table. This is our B-roll table that we've started using out in the big room to film B-roll, which I love. So we might end up with a different table here, but
Because this thing's heavy too. It's
a little bit of a different
standing
orientation.
desk. So getting it in here was not fun.
Yeah, so we can't move it back and forth.
Yeah. So and I think we get something a little more styled.
Yeah,
in
for
here.
sure.
It
For
would
sure.
look
But I
better.
like this setup. Feels a little bit more conversational.
This feels way more comfortable to me. I've just my spot in the round table has always felt super awkward, and then underneath of it's got these like trusses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
it.
where you sit. Someone's banging their knees.
You're going to hit
on
your
the-
knees
Very
somehow.
very poorly
you go.
designed table.
It's yeah.
Had to be cheap.
It's just not made for sitting.
It doesn't
at.
feel
That's
bad.
It's a table that's
more for looks.
not made for
Yeah.
sitting.
You put
Yeah.
you put your beverages on it, and that's
We've
about
done
it.
tons
Yeah.
of B-roll and photos, like
Yeah.
featured images.
Oh,
and stuff.
absolutely. It's great for that
Yeah,
stuff, for sure.
aesthetically, it's awesome.
For sure.
Yeah,
But-
it's poorly made.
But yeah, so I'm digging this. I like this a lot more, and yeah, maybe some tweaking. We might go as far of copying Pete and Maddie and do a nice neon sign, which we've talked about getting a neon
Yeah,
sign
we've been
anyway
talking
for a
about that
long
for a
But
time.
it would look
Yeah.
fantastic.
It looks so
on
dope
that
right
surface.
there. Yeah, it looks so dope.
Yep.
Because
And even if it's not a
this
neon
TV
sign-
doesn't serve much purpose.
We could do some things.
Yeah,
we could do some
we're gonna
things.
figure out something. But that's a quick little update on the setup. Let's hop into some news from the week. So first thing, you just got your I guess what is it at this point?
Invitation
Your
to
invitation to
purchase.
purchase? Is that what you would call it?
Yeah. So when the Steam Deck when it came out, we put it up as the image
Yeah.
for today because of this.
I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Can you see it on that way?
He's like,
And he's like, God,
not really.
it's cut off
kind of there.
halfway.
I was thinking like we might reuse that featured image
For sure.
for the
Oh,
podcast
yeah.
this week.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
we end up talking about this for a little
Yeah,
while, but
just add a little like a little cart symbol next to it.
yeah,
Purchased.
like hang a little tag off of it.
yeah.
But yeah, the Steam Deck. When was it a thing?
Months and months.
It's been
ago.
Yeah.
quite a while.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to pull this up just because I want to get roughly,
June of 2021.
Okay, you got it. So June. Gosh,
I don't.
I
don't know. That's
Oh,
how
I
I
was
looked that up.
wow, he pulled that up fast.
Gabe.
100%. man.
Gabe's gonna just start making claims
I mean,
on the podcast.
We've got stuff around it.
July of 20? Okay.
Yeah.
2021.
So yeah, that's still wow. He's pretty close. So July, the Steam Deck got announced and it was hyped. And I went ahead the first day pre-order, whatever went up. You had to put down $5.
Reservations.
Yeah, you had to put
Yeah.
down $5 to claim a reservation. So I was like, yeah. I mean, who knows? And it was supposed to be out by December.
Yeah.
And in my head, it was going to be Christmas gift maybe for my daughter. So she's into gaming. She's back and forth. She's like, maybe I should get an Xbox, or maybe I should get a PC. And then she plays on the Switch all the time, and she'll use my GeForce Now account.
Yeah.
They'll play on Stadia, and so she's just kind of been back and forth. And I was like, this would be a really cool, if it works the way it's supposed to. This would be a really cool gift for her because it's a PC.
Yeah.
Like it's a full blown PC that
Yeah.
just in your hands. And so even if it was like, hey, I'll play mobilely for a while, if I got her a little desk and a monitor and stuff, and she can drop it in the dock and she can play kind of at a desk too. That was my initial idea, and then when it got delayed, it was like, well, I didn't forget about it, but it was just like, to me now the Steam Deck is about what they're going to do that's going to make it better for Steam games on Chromebooks.
Right.
But that was all in the works too at the time, so the whole thing just in my mind kind of got pushed off.
It's
a
like
little
it'll
bit.
happen when it happens, and
Yeah, whatever.
who knows when it'll show up.
Maybe
yeah.
there'll be a Steam Deck 2 that we can really,
And
really.
then
get behind.
what did you say the other day?
I think that's where I got June from. You talking about the pre-orders?
Yeah, you're like they're on week 1.
I
or
think
something.
that was like subliminally planted in my head. I saw an article that said that they said that they were just now working through the first week of reservations
Got
to
it.
send
And I was
out.
like-
So, yeah.
I was like, well, I was in that, but I mean, if they're still working through that since the time it started, because it's been
Because the majority of them probably happened right then.
it's been going out for a month now or something.
Yeah, I think so.
available.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Gabe Newell has actually been going out and hand delivering some of them. Like he's been
Really?
just showing up at people's houses. with
That's
their steals.
amazing.
Yeah.
yeah, so we were getting ready to get set up for this, and I was going through my email and. There's my
there it
invite,
is.
and so you get 3 days. So I got the email. It said you have 3 days to claim this, and then your reservation's done. I was like, I don't even know if I care about this anymore. Really, like the news again it's more about how this thing represents what Linux gaming can be with Windows games via Steam, which impacts Chrome OS.
Yep.
And so the more I thought about it, I was like, well, maybe I could do it, and maybe this is going to make me sound like a terrible person. I hope it doesn't, but I immediately went to eBay.
Let's see where he's going here. Oh,
I went to
resale,
eBay to see what the resale value was on them, and they're selling for between $900 and $1,300, something like that. And those were auctions that were ending, just like an hour ago or something. So I was like, well, if I go ahead and get it, a handful of things can happen. We can make some content about it.
Oh, yeah,
we can
for
talk
sure.
about it as a tangent, kind of to what's going on with Chromebooks, and we'll explain that if you're listening or watching this and like, how does that have anything to do with Chrome OS? We'll kind of get into that here in a second. But so it's like, well, cool, we can make some content about it. Worst case, I resell it. Best case, I really like it and want to keep it.
Yeah.
It's a thing I just
sure.
have. And then, or I like it kind of, but I think, oh man, this is good enough. This is pretty cool. I'm going to give this to my daughter for her birthday or Christmas or something.
Sure.
Package it back up and stow it away. So there's a bunch of options, and there were enough options that I was like, yep, I need to go ahead and pull the trigger on this. I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
Sure.
Not the best time to go drop $500 for me. I don't know. Like, it didn't feel like, no big deal.
Yeah.
But it's like it's got enough potential.
It's because he's been thinking golf clubs.
Uh-huh.
Well, here's the thing. If I end up selling it and then get $500 or $600 profit out of this,
The golf clubs get a
that'll
lot
take care of all them golf clubs I'm wanting to buy.
We did.
I'm torn there because I'm all
So I
about
don't know. I don't know.
capitalism and doubling your money and stuff, but the moon swatch really burned me because I see people.
Yeah.
They were selling for like $3,000 and $4,000 on eBay, and I'm like, oh, you people! But I would do the same
You
thing.
could just go get a
If I had gotten
A
two,
real one.
if I had gotten 2 moon swatches on the day that they were released, I would be selling one on eBay right now.
Right, and it's one of those things, like, I don't feel terrible about something like that if the thing that I am in possession of is in high demand and there's not many of them.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Well, not only that, you didn't go into this with that intention. There are people like with PlayStation releases and things
Right.
like
Oh,
that.
they'll buy
People will
20 of
list
them.
those months before they have them on eBay, and it's like that one that you saw.
oh yeah, I
It's
saw
like,
one that was already
I'm selling
going
this.
for $800,
Yeah.
and it was selling the reservation. I mean, like, how do you even do that? Like, if somebody buys that,
You would
that
just probably-
listing, do you get the reservation? That doesn't buy you the device.
yeah.
I,
You
mean, I
would
guess
just-
he
as
was
soon as it-
he
as
was
soon as
just
it came in
selling it with the guarantee of I will buy it when the reservation comes
and ship
through
it
and
straight
ship
to
it
you
to
or whatever. Yeah.
But
That's
I mean,
an awful lot of trust for some
that's-
weirdo
that's
on eBay.
strange.
But people do that kind of stuff all the time. And
Yeah.
I'm like, nah. Mm-mm.
But this is an interesting device because of what's happening in the background and how it does
Yeah.
apply to what is happening on Chrome OS with Borealis and Steam.
Yeah. So, like, Gabe, I think, had just turned Steam back on this CX9. It's, for right now, it's the only device we have in the office that we can use Borealis on.
It's only the Voltaire board, right? And there's
Yes,
Not
and
even-
it has to be a fanned Voltaire board
Right.
because we have the
There's only
CX5400.
There's only
which is
5 on the
Oh,
list,
yeah.
right?
5 or 6, yeah, but it's a i5, but it's not fanned, and we tried it, and it specifically says this hardware is not supported because it
Yeah.
does a hardware check when you do that. So.
Yeah, so I mean, it's only specific devices, it's only a few, and obviously, we talked about that in the video that we put out this week. Just walking through, basically, we realized we've shown Borealis, and we, in the initial news that it's available in alpha, Gabe put the steps in there. I literally copied those steps in the video, like that's what I was going off of. So it's not like we didn't have the information out there, but we hadn't packaged it in a clean, if someone's looking for how to do this,
Yeah.
here it is.
Yeah, go follow these steps.
We're learning the worth and the value of having that stuff out there on the internet at this point now. Like, even if we talk about how to do something in some other post that's obscured by the title and everything, it's worth having another post that's just that thing that's more evergreen so people can come find it. And it's helpful. It's easier if they search in the search bar, like how to do this. Boom, here it is. And then there's our YouTube audience that, if you're watching this here, if you happen to be watching this and you don't realize we have a YouTube channel, that's kind of where all of this started. Chrome Unboxed, our youtube.com/Chrome Unboxed is the YouTube channel. And a lot of people that watch those videos either don't know about the website or just don't frequent our website.
They're just not readers of that sort of, or consuming that sort of content. They get their information from YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we try to think about that stuff too. And so we wanted to create a how-to to go along with our gameplay video that we did. So we went ahead and made that. And, when...
Discovered a pretty cool new shot that we've started using.
Really enjoyed that. Kind of like you're looking at this camera's close enough.
Yeah.
Like you're over there and I'm talking to you and I'm doing the thing.
And then screen recording.
And then
we
flip to the
figured
screen
out the
recorder.
built-in screen recording is working now.
Yeah, it was having weird drop frames for a long time with Chromebooks.
And some of that could have been when we did that last one. I can't remember the process we went through on that one because it does a WebM, right? Or is it WebM that it's doing?
Yeah, it does WebM.
And so when we converted that to MP4 last time, we could have done the conversion wrong maybe. But in Handbrake, we use a a
Right.
piece of software to convert it, and got it all working this time. But it just seems like it's a little bit more stable in general now.
Yeah, and I mean they've been continually working
Yeah.
on it, making it better. So yeah, we're using that in that video
Yeah,
to kind
it's
of.
cool.
It feels more conversational.
Yeah.
It feels less like you're looking over my shoulder. It's like we're having a conversation. I'm walking you through. So
It's fun. Anywho,
did enjoy that.
go check it out.
But yeah, so that video is up, and it kind of walks you through the process of getting Steam going on this. But the real story behind all of this and what connects this to that is the fact that both of these devices are running Steam in a Linux environment. Is that
Right.
fair?
Yeah. So
To say.
yeah. So they're both the Steam Deck is built off of Arch Linux. So it's not Steam OS. That was kind of a separate thing, but it's Steam that's built on Arch Linux. And then the container, and I did not know this. We didn't know this until just recently when they actually officially announced this. It's running an Arch Linux container. So the container
on Chrome OS.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
Steam that's running on Chrome OS is built on Arch Linux, not Debian like the Crostini container. So they are, while there's a lot of similarities on how they applied a lot of the stuff, they are two separate, completely separate entities. Matter of fact, you don't even have to have Crostini turned on to have Steam up and running.
Oh,
on this
interesting.
device.
Just
Yeah.
because I know, again, I'm trying to be cognizant of the fact that there's probably a lot of people watching that, again, don't read the site and probably haven't watched videos.
Yeah.
Can you explain Crostini, what that is, and then what Debian and Arch Linux
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, so Crostini is the Linux environment on Chrome OS. It's been out for a couple of years now. It's been out of beta for a little less than a year. It's just the ability to enable a container. So it's just look at it like a box that's on your operating system that another operating system is running inside of. There's some virtualization going on. There's container technology. It's able to use the bare metal hardware of your device, but it's still sandboxed, which means safe and separate from Chrome OS. So it's completely secure. They can communicate with each other, but they are separate from each other. So the container that runs Linux is Debian, which is Linux Debian Buster,
Yeah, I think
Buster,
they
yeah.
changed
So it's
to Buster.
Debian 11. Debian's one of a popular Linux distribution. Arch is also a very popular one. It's a little bit more for a lot of people will joke and say Debian is like the Lego or whatever. I can't think that's what Luke said. It's like the Lego of Linux because it's just, I don't want to say it's super simple, but it's super simple to use. It's really user friendly. Arch Linux lends itself more towards developers. You know, you have to know your way around the terminal and things like that. So Arch Linux is what Steam is built on. The Steam Deck is running on, and it's what the container is running on in Steam on Chrome OS.
Which is interesting because you said that the other day, and I don't think I'd put together that was running Arch Linux.
Yes.
So, and again, Linux is the kernel, and then you have these different distributions that are these different like flavors of Linux, basically, and then you even have desktop environments that are different. So you can have a different desktop environment on top of a different distribution. Most people are probably most familiar with like Ubuntu or however you pronounce it. That was the most popular one for a long time. It's the only one I knew about.
Yeah.
Or even had
Yeah,
ever
and
heard
anyone,
about
most
or
of the people
known.
that ever used Crouton probably familiar
Yeah.
with it. What
was-
was the other? There was another one that a lot of people were dual booting with their Chromebooks.
Gallium.
Gallium, but there was one that started. It was a specific version of Linux that started with an L. I don't know. I have to think of it. But yeah, there are so many different Linux distributions. We've done some videos on how to install certain types of desktop environments because that's one of the cool things about Linux. It's not necessarily developer focused, but it's so flexible that general consumers won't like it because it's not cut and dry.
Right.
You do kind of have to, but I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much because it reminds me of the old days of like Palm WebOS where you can
Right.
kind of customize everything about your phone. I mean, you could be running Ubuntu, 20, but your desktop and all of your applications and stuff could be completely different than someone else running the same version of Ubuntu because you're using a different desktop environment and different
It's
file
wild.
explorers and all the package managers and all that. It's really cool to me, but that's one of those things that there's a learning curve there.
And so that everybody's clear too, like Chrome OS is technically speaking a Linux distribution. It's very custom, very Chrome OS itself is closed down. We talk about Chromium OS being open source, but Chrome OS, once Google puts its stamp of approval on it, is a closed ecosystem. And so, you've got technically Chrome OS is a Linux distribution per se.
Yeah.
It's very, to say that's very technical. It's not like other Linux distributions, but because of that, it's running on the Linux kernel, and that also makes all of what we're talking about way easier to happen here. It's not some wild offshoot.
Chrome OS, is it still built off of Gen 2? Is that right?
I don't know.
But
the cool part is now you're talking. Until you said this in here, it's not just they're all running Linux.
Yeah.
At the kernel level, they're now these game parts, the Steam parts, are running Arch Linux. They're running the same distribution of Linux. So that even doubles up the fact that anything that happens good with this device, this Steam Deck thing, anything that happens good is going to mean good things happen for Chrome OS as well.
And it,
Steam on Chrome OS.
Yeah, we've talked about like the announcement and how it, it's taken a while for these to start shipping, and obviously I'm sure they're still dealing with a lot of production issues because of the pandemic. But as more and more people get them in hand and start actually playing games and everything, there'll be more and more data that they'll be able to use.
More
and
bugs will get
adjust.
worked out.
Exactly,
and that's the beautiful thing about it, with them being built in a similar fashion on top of Arch Linux. Any updates to the Linux kernel.
Kernel.
Spell that one. Spell that one, Andrew.
Kernel.
It's a kernel chronicle. The kernel.
Portal kernel.
Yeah.
Kernel.
Kernel. Yeah. Any updates to the Linux kernel that pertain directly to Arch Linux and Steam and all of that it'll all make its way to this, because and we haven't written this up yet, but the Chrome OS Dev website, they published an article, not a kernel, an article.
Chronicle.
It was
Chronicle.
last week, and it was the first of what's supposed to be an ongoing blog series about how they have developed Steam on Chrome OS. But they clearly said that this container is going to update independently of Chrome OS and independently of everything else. So anytime that there's something updated with Arch Linux or Steam or whatever, they can push it immediately to the container. And I don't even know that. I don't think it's going to require anything on. It'll probably just be an update to the Steam package that's running on there.
So you won't have to.
Every time you launch Steam, it checks.
It extracts and it checks for updates. Yep,
that would be my guess. And so, like, we kind of have circled around this already, but we haven't necessarily said it. The key to all of this being any worth at all to anybody trying it is this compatibility layer. And we've talked about it on this podcast before, but with this, going to be in the office hopefully in a few days, and Steam on Chrome OS, having a video out about that, it's worth talking about this probably at least for a couple minutes again. And that's this thing called Proton that Steam has been working on for 5 years at least at this point. I remember when they first announced it, and we were still running Steam and Crouton, which is this like side-loaded, weird bracketed on Linux thing that you could do with Chromebooks. I mean, I was using it way back when.
Essentially running an extension inside of Chrome. It's just weird. Yeah, it's really weird.
But it was well done. Like they figured it out pretty well by the end. And back when I had decided I'm going to work from a Chromebook regardless, I'm going to make this work, I needed Crouton at that time because it allowed me to get Inkscape working, which allowed me to do my job. And so it was good enough to get that done at the time. And so, Linux on Chromebooks has been a thing that people have been messing with for a long time. Well, in the same time, you've got Steam now going, okay, clearly Linux gaming is not going to take off because of all that customization, all those distributions, all the options and optimizations and all that stuff that Linux has. It's so widespread, like
it's too dispersed.
Yeah, it's not like Android where there's a parent OS. There's no parent Linux distribution. There's Linux, the Linux kernel, but then there are hundreds
in 100 different ways.
Yeah, I've tried installing so many different, but I think to Robbie's point here is that you said you can't see this, what I'm pointing at right now?
Okay. No. It's probably cut off right in the middle if I had to guess.
It's a picture of the Steam Deck, okay? It's huge. It's right there.
Yeah.
Zoom it in and pull it down, Robbie. There you go.
So
we're just going to keep pointing at it, and everyone's going to be like,
Valve has hinged the success of this device
Perfect.
on...
Perfect.
They've hinged the success of this device on Windows games, PC games, running properly on a Linux handheld
Right. And
PC.
That's the magic sauce. Really, I mean, okay, that's not fair. I don't want to take away from like Borealis on Chromebooks. Like that's insane. To make it that happen to begin with.
But if you don't have games,
all of that
then it doesn't
effort
matter.
is pointless.
Right.
Yeah.
If of the 50,000 games that are out there, that I have no idea, but I would guess it's probably less than 1,000 of them are Steam Linux. Is it Play on Linux or what's the little logo? Play on Steam? I don't know.
Steam Play.
Steam Play.
Yeah.
So there's a logo for them that means, hey, this works on Linux too. Most developers don't do that, and they know their market, their target market's Windows, and so developers make Steam games or get their games and they put them on Steam's market and they have them there for Windows PC players.
Yeah.
It's just where the market's gone, and there's no controlling that. But Steam, for whatever reason, Valve's who maintains owns Steam. Valve just decided like it's very important that Steam gaming not die, not just go away, and to that end kept working on Proton, which is this wild compatibility layer that allows Windows executable files, games, to run basically as if they are native Linux. Whatever a Linux executable would be, package.
It could be
some sort of
It could be a
package.
couple of different things depending on the flavor. Of
We'll
Linux
find the
that's running.
episode that we had where we had Luke on, and
Yeah.
we can and he was talking about if you really
Link
want to
that.
get into the details of some of this
of
stuff,
how this is happening. But
it's
they've been
pretty
working on it
bonkers.
for a long time, and the writing kind of became on the wall when when the Steam Deck came out, and then we knew Borealis was coming. It's like, okay, you can kind of start seeing these pieces
Yeah.
coming together. What we didn't really understand was how well they thought Proton was actually going to work. Because anytime we tried it, we were doing it in Crouton or in Crostini on a Chromebook,
Yeah.
and it's like
adding
we're
an extra
adding multiple
layer or
layers
two
that are not optimized. It's like, I don't know if this is working or not. And we don't have a just plain Linux device sitting around that we've tried it on. So I just always was like, this may or may not ever work. It's always going to be janky. But then came the Apple M1 chip and their Rosetta 2 conversion layer, basically, that exists. And as well as we've seen that run in
Yep.
person.
right at first, Final Cut was running through there.
Right, we're running our editing software through a compatibility layer, and it's bonkers what they can do with these things now. And so, that started making me think they might pull this out.
Yeah.
Like this might be great. And so as the numbers kept coming up of, hey, this works on X% of Windows games. It's what, 99%?
It's close to 99.
Like
which,
they wanted 100%. They wanted to say
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You don't have to write your game to work for Linux. You don't need that.
and the ones
Our
that don't
compatibility
are
layer
either
will do it.
they're either dead platforms that no one's playing, or the developer just really doesn't care. You were close. 977 Linux titles on Steam out of
50 plus thousand. Yeah. So that just tells you
Wow.
like Linux gaming was not in a good spot.
Yeah.
And they realized it. And so this Proton thing, from what we've seen, the only use I've had with it, obviously, is on Borealis. And
Right.
Borealis is working through its own issues. And some of the games I've played using Borealis, Proton, all that kind of stuff, are exceptionally good for using it on a device that doesn't even have a discrete GPU. And so I've been really impressed with it. I feel like it's going to be to the nth degree better right now on the Steam Deck because it's not having to deal with Borealis. Like it is just Linux doing Proton. Now this Chromebooks will be Borealis as a container, doing Proton stuff to get the game to run. But I think anything that makes Proton better on the Steam Deck is going to make Proton work better on the Chromebook.
Yeah.
So that's really
Win-win.
awesome. Yeah.
And as soon as this, it's still in alpha right now, so we're still
So Borealis is super early.
We're still early on Chromebooks, but we've talked about it before on this show, and I think we've probably written about this. When this rolls out, think of how many people, how many Chromebooks are out there when they roll it out fully that are instantly going to be able to access and play games through Steam.
Yeah.
It's going to become a massive, massive platform.
Well,
of,
and even Chromebooks like
options.
this one here, that this is not built for gaming. This isn't going to be targeting any gaming people. yeah, you're not going to play the highest end games on this, but you can play some pretty decent
Right,
stuff on
and
this.
that's what I was just thinking, and I just want to make a correction here. I just filtered on the Steam store. It's actually 3,500 games, but 3,500 is a small
It's a drop. It's
fragment
not even
of 50,000.
Yeah.
So, but this will run. It was funny because I was playing Portal earlier, and because I hadn't played it since we installed Steam on this newer device, and it wasn't running really well. But I forgot I had not turned anything on. None of the graphics were set right, and all that said. And then Proton wasn't installed.
So is it when it's a Linux game though, isn't it?
I don't know.
Portal.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think
Is
Portal
is
is.
Proton is Proton turned on by default right now? So if someone does have a
Nope.
compatible device,
No, you have to install Proton Experimental, and then you have to enable Steam Play in the settings. So
yeah,
it does say, yeah, that's Linux Steam OS right there. So
yeah.
I don't know, but I didn't have any of the graphics or anything to on. But anyways, my point is that a lot of games on here are playing just fine. We played Day of Defeat and stuff, and they ran really well. I've often said that, you're not going to be able to play, like your top high-end games, but looking at where Iris Xe graphics is going and where 12th Gen Alder Lake is going, very well might be able to play any game that's not to say you're going to play it like you would on the Razer Blade 14 that we were just looking at that has a 3080 in it and a Ryzen 9, but it'll be able to casually competitive gaming, which is what we are. That's what we do. We're competitive, but we're casual gamers.
Yeah.
I think 12th Gen Intel's going to be able to handle it.
Well, remember when they announced Iris Xe graphics for the 11th Gen chips? Remember, I think it's Battlefield 4. I think that's what they showed. Running it at medium to high settings, 30 frames, and it looked great. And I remember us being like, that's a built-in, that's like the included GPU. Holy crap. And Alder Lake, so the 12th Gen Intel chips, apparently takes GPU to another level too. So it's another big step for integrated graphics.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, and I think that's why the testing is so limited right now.
Sure. Yeah.
The target audience, the target Chromebook for Borealis is going to be Alder Lake, like the 12th Gen Intel
just waiting
stuff.
for those to roll out. Yeah.
And we should be seeing some of those starting to trickle in May, June, and then throughout obviously the rest of the year. But there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them on the list that we're looking out for. Quite a few more than the Voltaire 11th Gen baseboard, and way more than what we had with 10th Gen Chromebooks. And so there's going to be a bunch of them. So there's going to be, my guess is the reason we're seeing all of those is you're going to get companies that will make their Chromebook, and then they're going to make a gaming focused one. Like, we don't have any intel on that for sure, but it only makes sense. I mean, all of these, it's like car manufacturers all have their like premium brand.
Yeah.
Like, every one of these PC makers has a gaming brand. I mean, HP has Omen, Acer has Predator, Asus has
Legion.
ROG, Lenovo has Legion. Like, they all have that brand, so it would make sense. Even if you just regurgitate the exact same Chromebook with that branding and that style, and maybe put a GPU in it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. That's the thing for this. They don't have to put a 3080, top of the line NVIDIA GPU in.
Sure.
They could have an option for that. But a year-old or 2-year-old graphics card. I mean, the heck, what did I say? I've gotten that thing 3060,
50, 60 probably. Which is not that old. I mean,
no, it's like a year old or something like that. And that thing, my PC that runs the golf simulator chews through. I turn everything up to ultra and walk away. Don't have to think about it. Something like that. They don't have to have the latest, greatest thing in there, because there's going to be some time that it's going to take for people to warm up to the idea that, I'm going to buy this to play games on.
Right.
Because the inherent limitation is still there that, yes, you can play Steam games, and you're going to be able to play hopefully any Steam game. But you're not going to be able to play anything outside of that. So if you buy it and you want to play Fortnite on it, until Epic says, we want to create a container for the Epic store and Epic stuff, that's just not going to be
What
a
sort of
thing.
streaming platform for Fortnite?
I don't
It
think
shows
it's
you how
anywhere.
much I know about Fortnite.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play GeForce Now.
on
You can
GeForce
play it
Now,
on
yeah.
GeForce Now, but GeForce Now basically loads up the Epic store
Right.
in that host computer you're connected to. So, it's not on Steam, obviously, and they'd have to change that. But they're really trying to push the Epic store.
What sort of triple what are they AAA games?
AAA games.
are on Steam? like popular
God.
titles
Lots
that
of them.
people would
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
Like
what's the newest one we were talking about?
Elden Ring is on there.
Is it Elden?
Elden.
Yeah.
Elden
so that's
Ring.
on there. Elder Scrolls, Elden Rings.
I mean,
I don't
anything
know.
you've heard talk about, it's on
Yeah.
there.
I don't know any other
Yeah.
big games.
this show,
That's all I know.
This tells you how much I know about gaming. Seriously.
PUBG's on there. Apex Legends is on there.
Okay.
Are the Call of Duties?
Yeah.
Are they on there or not?
I
they
don't
are.
know.
I think Call of Duty's on there.
Let's see.
You gotta-
Andy's got something.
It's
They at
no-
least
oh,
have
yeah, they're
some
all
of the
on
ones
here, man.
there, at
Okay.
least.
Yeah.
What's the newest
that's
one?
right.
Warzone.
GeForce Now pulled them out
Yeah,
because
Warzone's the battle royale.
Okay.
yeah, people seem to like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's all these games I haven't played that I'm like, I'll try this, well, And so
Totally, dude.
again, I don't want to undermine or say that Steam gaming is like, oh, it's a little bit. It's not like the days. This feels like more like, I don't know, 6 years ago. If you're like, well, you don't have everything, but you got Netflix. People will be like, oh, okay, that's got most of what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And now the streaming providers have split in every different direction. Now you can't. One of them's just not enough anymore.
Right.
We're not at that point, but that feels like where the gaming industry is trying to go. Like now that you have the Epic Store over here, and you have Activision has their thing over here, and then you've got EA's got their thing over there, and it's like most of them still play nice with Steam because they realize that's where gamers are. There's so many gamers. I have no idea what the population of the Steam community is, but it's
What did we look up? That
50 millions something. Right?
No, it was
Somebody
100,
look it up.
120 active installs.
If only
I
we
think.
had a way to
Yeah.
know.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 120 active
Users.
in 2020. Yeah.
120 million people. So
Yeah.
only someone with the grandiose mentality of Epic would decide not to be a part
Yeah.
of Steam.
Nah, we're good.
Yeah, because I mean, Steam. I'm looking at
big
Steam
enough.
right here. You have Red Dead Redemption, which a lot of oddly enough, a lot of these are on Stadia. But Resident Evil Village is on there. Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Man, I am done.
Cyberpunk.
What was the
All
other
you
word?
do is you just go in there and just you load up the game and you take a nap.
I don't remember what the other
But
one
it's in,
was.
but it's in 2040
article
or
like
whatever.
chronicle.
Chronicler.
What was the word from earlier?
Chronicle.
Kernicle.
Carnicle? That's what it was. Carnicles and
I feel a
Chronicles.
pop up on the screen happening right there.
We're actually going to
So-
start a new game, the Chronicles of Colonel Kernicle.
Stardew Valley's on there.
Yeah.
Elden Ring. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
Metro
bunch.
Metro Exodus, Halo
Jedi
Infinite.
something or
They're
another.
all on. I mean, they have
Yeah.
all the big.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto on here.
And again, you got to think like most of these game developers and these development houses. Why wouldn't you want your stuff on here? Because you still buy it. It's not like you sign up for Steam and,
Yeah,
and
this
you get
is-
to play all these games.
Yeah,
for
it's
free.
not like a
not
subscription
bad.
where you get a little bit of everything. You buying your game. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and-
no different than buying a digital copy on Xbox or buying a physical copy for your whatever. It's the same thing.
It's that you now can use Steam as your spot where you connect to other players. You can chat with Steam. You can know that if I'm in here and there's other people that play on Steam, we don't have to worry about compatibility issues.
Right, because here's the deal: if I have a Windows PC and then I have a Chromebook and then I have a Steam Deck and
And a
I can
Mac.
Steam and Mac, I can play Steam anywhere,
Right.
and I know that I can access that game that I have anywhere, and I know it's going to run well anywhere.
And you know that the same
not?
people that you
Yeah.
jump in to play with are going to still be there. Like, it's not like, oh, no, those are the Mac Steam people.
It's
over
probably not
there.
going to run well, but I think Steam will play on that Atari I have in there. Pretty sure it will.
Oh, yeah.
Let's try it.
Okay,
Let's do it.
let's do it.
Make a video
I
about
mean,
it.
it's Linux, right?
Yeah, but you can also dual boot. I think you can actually run Steam OS on a dual boot.
Yeah, we should do
situation.
that and then crank on all the Proton stuff and see what happens.
Yeah,
Like,
let's do it.
and like, I mean, we can mess with some Steam
Because
stuff
that
on
also
Windows
got me
PC too.
thinking, we were talking about dedicated graphics cards or whatever, and, MediaTek was tinkering around with NVIDIA with their ARM chips and NVIDIA GPUs. That's the cool thing about this container technology is that it's not limited to the CPU that it's running on. Now, there are some workarounds that have to be done, but the container can actually be an x86, whatever, i386 container. They just have to have the bits and pieces there. Theoretically, this should be able to run on an ARM Chromebook with a dedicated GPU if Google would allow it.
Yeah.
Because all it's doing is leveraging the GPU. The CPU, most gamers know that if you have a more powerful CPU is better, but it really boils down to the GPU and the RAM. The
that's true.
CPU is just kind of there doing some thinking. It doesn't have these i5s. The i5s will be totally fine for Steam.
Yeah,
100%.
with a big
16
fat
gigs of
GPU
RAM
on
and a
top
good
of it.
GPU, totally fine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So exciting stuff, obviously. There's a lot of layers to all of this. As we are sitting here talking about it, you start realizing the layers that are here. And over time, hopefully, it will just be a thing where when you buy your Chromebook, you can
Go to settings.
go to
turn
settings
on
and
Steam and
turn on Steam.
I'd love to see his timeline of the Steam Deck and then where Google came into play and how all of those and how when Google said, "Hey, we see what you're doing with that. We'd like to do it with Chrome OS." At what point did those two projects kind of converge and say, "Hey, let's develop these side by side," because all they're going to do is benefit each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll definitely make sure to link our interview with Ayin Valdez from Google, who's a developer advocate, runs the developer advocate program, I believe, and yeah, his like towards the end of the conversation, we talked a little bit about Steam, and it was just a fun conversation. So we'll definitely make sure to link that as well. But I think that's it on Steam Deck. We're going to take a quick break for an ad, and we've got some other stuff to chat about, so stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. So I wanted to include this just because we made a thumbnail for a video that's fantastic.
It was
It really is.
It was kind of a joke.
Let me rephrase that. Andrew and you made a thumbnail for a video that is fantastic. All I did was look at it and say that looks
was gonna
great.
say, he didn't do
I didn't do
anything.
much at all.
I did.
Which is awesome. It's working. It's all working. So we have an article that our staff writer Joanna wrote about how to enable flags on your Chromebook. And it's one of those articles that has just continued to get page views, and people are clearly interested in that. And we realized we've done these videos talking about hidden features, talking about new things in Chrome OS, whatever version that you can go try out. And we always mention, oh, hey, here's the flags page, but we never really exactly explain what it is.
Right.
We don't go through the exact steps of how to turn them on, how to turn them off. What is should you leave it on default? Should you disable it? Like how am I supposed to do this? So we made a video about it, and kind of inspired because of the Steam how-to video, because we did that shot and the shot looked so cool, and we were like, hey, we need another video for this week. We're working on a review of a device, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But we're like, let's film something else, maybe on that kind of how-to setup with that shot. And film this video, and the thumbnail is fantastic. Where did you end up? Where did you get the supplies? Give them a quick.
Let's do the backstory. Because
Give them a quick
cool
rundown
story.
of this thumbnail, how it came together.
Well, we were just talking about how it is experimental, and we were joking, oh, it'd be cool if there was a lab coat and goggles and stuff. And I was like, well, I mean, I can get that. My dad's a chemistry teacher. We can absolutely get this. And literally 2 hours later, he dropped stuff off at the office.
Yeah, it's great.
So we have some. We have a couple. What are the main little
Beakers.
flasks? They're called something.
The Erlenmeyer flask.
Erlenmeyer, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, my brother and I
forget
use
if
them
those
for.
Are that or not.
Yeah. Oh, we did. Yeah,
You'll
there's
only
one.
be able to see the small
there's
part
one, yeah.
at the bottom here on camera, but we'll flash it up. I'm sure Andrew will include it.
Yeah, it's just so great. It's so great.
So silly.
So one of our wonderful patrons, I want to give him a shout out, Phil Wood. He is I don't know what all he does, but he is a radio personality in Calgary for City News Calgary, which they're obviously very large. They have 86,000 Twitter followers, but he's on the radio there. He tweeted, "I got this notification while at work, and my coworkers thought I was having a meltdown." So we're like, then it worked.
I commented back and said, "You're welcome."
Because it's all about that eye popping, like popping, eye catching.
Yeah,
you know,
and
look,
this is something fun now that we have a creative producer, Andrew, that we can spend a little bit of time thinking about this stuff and in putting out some different thumbnails that in the past, we were just grinding to get content out, and it was hard to kind of take a step back and think creatively about something, like this coming together. I just love it. I think it's great. So we'll make sure to link it, and it's a great video. I mean, if you just want to learn how to enable flags, why you should maybe enable flags, what exactly are they, that sort of thing, definitely go check out the video. So what else? Anything else on the flags you want to talk about?
No, I was just looking
No,
at
we
the
were just
tweet
talking
'cause I
about
hadn't
Flex.
seen it. I was like, oh.
So let's talk about the 514.
Ooh, one thing I did look up a second ago.
Yeah.
As we were coming back from break, we were talking about. Andrew said, with the Steam Deck, will it flex? And I was like, I don't know. I think it's just for Windows stuff, but it's not. The support page for their Chrome OS Flex. It's like admins can install Chrome OS Flex on Mac OS, Windows, or Linux. It runs Linux, so it will flex.
It will flex.
We're gonna make it flex.
It will flex.
Here's the cool part. We were talking about
Can
that.
it
I'm like,
flex?
and
Can't wait.
That people have already dual booted like Windows and stuff on it.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I mean, honestly, I'm sure it's got a USB 3.0 port.
Yeah.
A quick one. Install Flex on that thing.
Gonna try it.
Load it up, try it out. If it works, and you can partition a little part and dual boot. Drop it on a thing under your monitor and boot up Chrome OS and use it during the day and pop it off, and it's your gaming machine at night.
We're gonna try it. That's for sure.
That'll be a fun experiment.
Yep.
I'll hand it to Gabe. Be like, will you partition this?
Have you all seen the Is It Cake show? Are you all into this?
Is
your
It
kids
Cake?
into this?
I only see it because Google really thinks I want to watch it. Apparently,
But do you know the
Cake
concept?
show?
You haven't heard of this? Oh, I feel like you all would be
is
into
it
this.
cake?
It's a Netflix. It's Netflix, right?
Is it cake?
Yeah, it's like a game show. It's like those people that make cake things that look exactly like real world
Yeah.
things. And they gotta
I
guess
feel
if
like I
it's
see
cake
them
or
on
not.
Instagram all the time. No, my kids.
Here it is.
My kids don't watch that.
Is It Cake? Is the name of the show. I have not watched it, but
I want
Google-
to make a
Google
can of-
clearly thinks I want.
I want to. I want to make a
Oh,
Can It
no.
Flex show. We'll make it for patrons.
So it's like literally all they do is guess whether or not it's cake.
Yeah, and then they
love
try
it.
to cut it.
I love
Yep.
it.
Yep.
If it
My
cuts open
favorite
and
one to
there's
this
cake in
date
it-
is still the. Have you seen the dog one?
no.
Where the dog watches the
What is-
owner cut.
So
So it's the dog. It's like a what? What kind of dog is it? It's a.
Maybe
It's the one with the droopy face.
Yeah. Was that
like
the
a
Basset
like a
Hound?
Basset Hound. Yeah.
droopy face.
Yeah,
something
droopy
like that.
face dog.
So, anyways, the owner's cutting it, and you just see the real dog in the background. Like,
Oh my god.
what is going?
That's
It is
funny.
so funny.
We'll cut it in.
Horrifying, but funny.
We'll cut it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have grandiose plans of doing. We'll do like a little Can It Flex show, like a game show. It's gonna be great. Okay, let's talk 514. So it's sitting here in front
Here it
of
be.
us.
Here it be.
We are currently working on the review. We have filmed all of the A-roll, which is like our main kind of talking head shot, and Andy Cam's got that edited together, and we're working on our B-roll, hoping maybe we can get it all pulled together and get it out this weekend.
Yeah, that would be great. But for those of you listening to the podcast, you're probably
get a little sneak peek.
yeah, podcast will probably be out before that video, I would think, because it should be out tomorrow. So, yeah, $399. So price informs a lot of stuff right
Yeah.
off the top. It's on sale a little bit at the Acer store, basically. I don't know that you can buy it anywhere else currently. But that's clearly one of the big selling points. And then the other is that it's the Kompanio 828 inside.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that's what intrigued me about it. That's why we were all over Acer, like, get us that one. Like, you announced some other ones at
Sure.
CES or whatever. Like, we want that 828 device because we'd already gotten our hands on the 1380, the
Yep.
MediaTek Kompanio 1380. And I was really happy with that device. It's like a Spin 713, but with a ARM chip inside. But it was super pre-production. I wasn't seeing quite the battery life that I was expecting out of an ARM chip. This one changes that completely. But this one's, is being sold. So they've tweaked all the battery stuff on it. It's getting that crazy, Lenovo Duet 5 battery life, like 12, 14 hours. Like, I charge it once a week usually. And I take it home every
wild.
day. I don't go home and use my Chromebook for hours on end, but it's
Pop it open here and there.
on and
check
off
something,
again.
turn this.
I use it over the weekend. It's the only device I use. I don't think I've charged it at home once. It charges really fast. I don't think I said that in the video. I was thinking about that today.
About
that
like,
it
when
also
it-
charges fast. Like, the battery's long, but I plugged it in at my desk, so I have to unplug my Chromebook and plug this in or whatever I'm using at my desk. And I went to go check it, and I felt like it had only charged for like 40 minutes or something. It was full.
And that's a big deal
It's
that
like, that's awesome.
that nobody's really talking about because Chrome OS was already the lightweight cloud-based operating system, but since the pandemic and work from home and all that, people need a device that's portable, always connected, long battery life. But what if you need to charge quickly? And I'm starting to see more devices in their press releases say,
Quick
hey,
charge.
in 15 minutes you get in 2 hours worth of use or whatever. So that's a big deal.
OnePlus has Warp Charge. Somebody should make something like Hypercharge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just call it whatever.
Hyper should make that
super duper
hypercharged.
Hyper, it's the hypercharge.
hypercharge. Patent pending.
This Chromebook has hypercharge.
Oh wow.
But yeah, so the battery is a big takeaway. It's really nice, but it's a thin and light device because it's ARM. So it's MediaTek Kompanio 828. It's just a little under 3 pounds. So it's not like it's dainty or anything, but for a 14-inch Chromebook, it's plenty thin, plenty light, very portable. It does have one of my favorite keyboards I've used on an Acer device. I don't tend to like Acer's keyboards, but this one is backlit, pretty clicky. It's been nice to type on and stuff. I've actually put together quite a few articles on the weekend with it. And the trackpad is easily one of my favorite, if not my favorite trackpad I've ever used in a
Is
Chromebook.
that glass or is it ocean
It's glass.
It's
No,
glass.
it's Gorilla Glass, and it's huge, and the click mechanism is like perfect. And
Yeah.
it may not be perfect on every one of these that comes off the factory line, but this one is
can it do
Dialed.
this?
Yeah.
It can't do that.
But does it have
I've
American key?
never used this. I have accidentally
fun
triggered
trick.
it a couple times, but I've never
See,
used
I
it.
think
a fun trick.
as much as I plug in numbers, I would probably use that.
For number crunchers, this
Yeah.
is absolutely the people that don't want a 15.6 inch or a
Mhm.
17.3 inch device.
I
This
feel like, to
is
me,
brilliant,
when
but
I-
this
when I've
needs
done
to be
number-
combined
Yeah.
with
I need a tactile.
This needs to be haptic. If this
Oh,
were
yeah.
haptic, it would be if the HP Elite Dragonfly C2715 or whatever the number is
It's Dragonfly.
had this.
Yeah.
Really.
I think that, but then I'm the same way with my J and my F keys. Having that little nub on there
Yeah.
helps me find them
Oh,
pretty
sure,
quickly. Same thing with a numeric keypad on the 5. There's always a little nub, and that helps you.
See, I don't use that.
You go from here, and it's up to those, here, and then down to those. And so once you have that, and you find that home key, you can enter numbers without looking down. And I got into doing that. Like when I worked at Sprint, we had to do all these number crunching things. So I got really good on a number pad, but you need that home key.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
like
that's
you can
true.
orient yourself to this, but it's if your hand moves a little bit, you're going to be punching in
Right,
crazy
that's
numbers.
because I just depend solely on muscle memory. I don't rest my finger on the 5 key when I'm using a calculator or whatever. It's just muscle memory. But you're right. If you get off, and since this doesn't have physical keys, you're like, well, I just did
I got it
30
in there.
minutes of computations, and they're all wrong.
Those numbers don't seem to add up.
Yeah.
But, and it's like, well, it's just a convenience there. Well, it's not that much more convenient than reaching up and touching the keys. Like, if it's not going to be something where you can quickly enter text or enter numbers.
Now, if this were like a signature pad or something, that'd be kind of cool. Sorry.
Yeah,
What?
it's a fun trick, though.
Yeah, it is.
It looks neat.
It is.
But yeah, you get upward firing speakers that sound really good. They're not amazing. They're not Pixelbook Go speakers, but they're good.
Yeah.
They're solid speakers. Screen's 250 nits.
DTS branded.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, these
yeah.
are Harman Kardon.
Tuned.
Harman Kardon
Yeah,
right
those are
here,
Harman
buddy. You know how
Kardon.
garbage this sounds?
Tuned by DTS.
But these the screen on it's 250 nits, but it's anti-glare touch, and even under this pretty daunting light here, it looks really nice. Since it doesn't have to deal with the light hitting it as much since it's anti-glare, it really makes the best. Not granted, it's cranked all the way, but it's comfortable to use in most lighting conditions. And even at that cranked amount, it's not turned off since we've been sitting here. It wasn't even fully charged when we sat down. I still have 75% battery.
Yeah.
Been sitting here for probably an hour and a half or something.
Yeah.
On, and
That's awesome.
So the screen didn't bother me at all. Like I would have thought it would almost be a detractor. It's been good. I'm not gonna say it's like great or amazing, but
Yeah,
it's good.
for as far as 250 nit screens go, it's really good because you all can't see it, but the heart of the sun is hanging above the table here, and it's I mean it looks really good.
Yeah, it's not, and it's a different thing. Like when you have a regular glossy screen, 250 nits, like you're dealing with the glare of other stuff hitting it, and so your eyes see that, and it detracts from. Like this is just not distracting. It's so easy to look at and it's comfortable. It's just a clamshell, so there's no fun convertible stuff, and it's a plastic surround around the screen. But again, you get an aluminum lid, so it helps make the whole thing firm. And even though it's all plastic on the bottom, it's still relatively rigid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of devices that feel really clunky with a plastic bottom. They feel like we were picking up the Lenovo 15.6 inch Flex, and I picked it up and opened the top, and it just felt like it wanted to go overboard because the bottom
top heavy.
Yeah,
I mean,
this
it's
one's
crazy.
a tad, but overall, like it just feels good, feels well balanced. It's thin. There's no fans. And then the performance of the 828 is, it's right there with like Snapdragon Snapdragon Gen 2.
Snap Gen 2.
Snapgen Dragon.
Snappy 2.
Kernicles.
2, Kernicle 7.
Snapgen.
Snapgen.
The Lenovo
Snapdragon
Duet 5.
Dragon.
Let's just
Yeah.
go that route.
So the Duet 5, I think the benchmarks are roughly on par. But, once this thing's up and running and doing its thing, I had no issue, for virtual desk, all my windows open. Like I said, if I'm sitting at home writing, I'm going to have my tabs open and my stuff and music running and, messaging in one window and all this kind of stuff. And so I didn't really have any issues there. Like using it sitting here, it's not like, oh God, come on, let's go, buddy.
Yeah.
It's fine. And it gets great battery life. And so that makes it this like really portable, workable device that's super comfortable to use. It has great input methods, which help. Good speakers for when you want to listen back to something or take a video call. It just shocked me how good of a Chromebook it is overall, to use it, because it's one that, other than the 828, I was kind of like, whatever. It's another Acer Chromebook.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
There's nothing on this spec sheet that pops out where you're like, oh man, I
yes.
cannot wait to get this in. Yeah.
It's just like, it's a Chromebook.
But you said it in your review, and I think it's worth noting. We for so long there, we would get a new Chromebook and it would have that new thing. Oh my gosh, cannot wait to get this. And there were those iterations that we were having.
Right.
And we've kind of gotten to a point where you can go get a Chromebook that has most things you want for the most part. And now you're starting to see devices like this, $400, where it's like, all right, what corners did we cut?
Right.
How did we cut the corner?
Yeah. How can we wisely remove some stuff, get the price down, but still deliver a good
but
experience.
Still get this really awesome experience? And I think we can go ahead and say, I think this is a device you'd recommend.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. At the end of the video, it's like if you got $400 and you're looking for a Chromebook that has these types of things, like if you're not worried, if you're looking for a tablet or convertible, obviously this isn't a good idea.
Right.
It's not USI compatible. You're looking to use a pen, that's a terrible idea.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to sit right on the screen. It'd be weird.
You want the best speakers on the market. They're better speakers. But if you're just looking for a good Chromebook that's light, that you don't have to charge all the time, that is super comfortable to type and use, and every once in a while you want to reach up and use the touchscreen. Again, since it's a clamshell, like this is super firm and sturdy.
Does it fold 180?
I don't even know if it does 180. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, so it does 180.
So you're doing a presentation or whatever, you want to pinch zoom and stuff like that. That's perfect.
Yeah, I've just been really happy with it. Like, it's just been one of those ones I take home and I'm like, cool, I like this device.
It's a good size too.
Yeah, 14-inch Chromebooks are really good for mobile productivity, because it's big enough that I don't feel cramped at any given time. And I wish they would make it 16 by 10, like 14-inch 16 by 10 devices just feel so much more roomy.
And you got the room.
You got a big old bezel, and you don't need this big old bezel because you don't have a convertible hinge.
Exactly. There's no excuse. There's no hinges in there.
And so I'm sure Acer looked at it and went, well, if we keep that, we have 100 million of these 16 by 9 screens around.
Sure.
If we keep that big old chin on there, again, we can make a big old trackpad.
And it's about cutting the right corners. It's like, hey, it looks great.
Yeah.
And I think
it's got that Acer look to it. It's got the swoopy little edges on it and stuff. Like, it looks like an Acer Chromebook. Like, it's
chamfered edges. Yeah, there we go.
Right
Little chamfered
the
edges.
Top is
looks
aluminum.
Nice.
And again, if it was aluminum on the bottom and on the keyboard, the price probably goes up $50, $75 or something like that. The weight goes up a little bit, and so it's it's all those
ports. What sort of ports are you working with?
They're okay. C on both sides. They're at USB 3.2, and then one USB-A headphone microphone, and that's it. There's no expandable storage, and this thing only comes in 64 gigs.
Yeah, that seemed like a weird miss.
It was.
Oh, we lost connection. You broke it. It does have kind of updated connectivity though, right? So it's got Wi-Fi 6. Bluetooth,
so Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.4,
whatever they're on.
Whatever. So the connectivity is good. And to be completely fair, I'd like to see a USB Type-C, or I'm sorry, a micro SD card slot on devices, especially if you're going to limit it. They don't make this with anything more than 64 gigs.
It's kind of rough.
I'd like to see that. But I'll be honest, it's not that hard to update your internal storage and pop the bottom off. Granted, you probably void your warranty by doing that, or you go get one of those. We bought one for like $17. It's 128 gigs.
Yeah, and
it's the size of a Logitech dongle.
Yeah,
barely
sticks out.
put it in your
You could
USB-A
still you can
and
still
move on.
slide it into a laptop sleeve with it on there.
You'll forget it's there most of the time, and so I don't want to give too easy of a pass on stuff like this, but again, I've not run into any issues where I'm like, oh man, I'm really running out of storage here,
Right.
Because Chromebooks are Chromebooks. I save everything in Google Drive, and let's see.
Did you find another model?
So I've got 40 gigs available right now.
Hold on.
That's new. It was not there the
That
other
wasn't
day.
there. No.
Eight
So there's the
128.
Ooh.
Probably
Full
hit
HD.
that by now.
Oh yeah, it's
Is
probably
it going to show up anything?
Oh,
Is it on Amazon? Really?
and it's cheaper than MSRP.
Let's see.
Article.
We have
write it right
found-
now.
Dun, dun.
We've
Send
found
that to
something.
JoJo or Michael. Tell them write it now.
Right now.
Get it by the 27th. Sold
There you go.
from VCPI.
Well, we'll definitely have that written up before you listen to this, so we'll
Yeah.
make sure to link it.
8 gigs. So 8 128.
128.
This device with 128, I think we've got 8 gigs on this one. I'm almost positive.
I mean, we can write this up, but I'm not going to send someone to this specific page. As a third-party seller, it has it listed as 32 gigs of memory. This is,
yeah.
but the official, the landing page on Acer.
Yeah,
website.
that's what's.
It is a model. It's a thing.
Yeah, don't go buy that one just yet, but
Yeah.
it is a thing.
And
is great.
again, like it's the benefits here are battery life,
Yes.
are
Yeah.
portability,
Yeah.
input methods, and a better than expected screen.
Because it's only 250 nits, right? I can't remember if we said that or not.
Yeah, and I just was like, anti-glare.
There you
It's
go.
just gonna be
Newegg
garbage.
got it for $470.
Yeah, I
There
mean that's
we
only
go.
$70
That's not bad at
more, and
all.
that's to get you to a storage mount that I feel like is way more comfortable. You don't have to think about it too much.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, we'll for sure have that on Chrome Shop and
Yeah,
all that
because
stuff
that's
by
the
the time
thing. I
we
mean, a device
this out
that's
there.
clearly designed for the on-the-go person, it needs that. I mean, I think all Chromebooks should have a micro SD card slot, but if they're not, they should have at least 128 gigs. Just
Yeah.
hands down.
Yeah, for sure. This is one we will probably share. We will probably share this one out early to patrons as soon as we get it done. So, shameless plug. Go check out our Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Chrome Unboxed.
always a fun time.
We share. We try to do early access. So if we've got a kind of bigger video that's coming out, we'll share it there first, so you can get a kind of first look at it, behind the scenes stuff. Some just fun perks. Our Discord is awesome. I love our Discord.
We have fun. Absolutely.
We have fun. Okay, so let's switch gears. Let's talk about something that happened over the weekend, last weekend, with some confusion. Let's just say little confusion around Smart Lock on Chrome OS.
Yeah, and it's worth talking about just because there are still I'm still seeing articles out there that are reporting on this as if it's still a thing, and it is not.
Yeah, and I thought about that the other day. I don't want to think like, oh, no, are you all not reading our stuff? We're not some ginormous news outlet, but at the same time, I feel like most tech blogs at least look to us if they're trying to research any type of information. It feels like this article's getting published just as a regurgitation. No one's bothering to fact check anything, and they're writing it because they saw it and it seems like a sensationalized thing. So they're like, oh, well, we need to write this because everybody's talking
Google's
about it.
killing something that's usually called,
And that's just not the case.
Yeah.
So let's say what it is.
It looks like I'm starting to see some people are updating their thing. But that Smart Lock that has been around on Chromebooks for a long, long time was being discontinued. And to be fair, Dinson at Chrome Story wrote this up, and looking at the commit initially, that's what it looked like. And I was like, there's just no way. That doesn't make any sense. And we kept looking and kept digging. And I didn't want to put out an article. Like, we reached out to him and said, hey, look, we don't want to put out something that is trying to make you look bad or anything like that.
Sure.
We're actively researching, trying to figure out what's going on here, because I really don't feel like that's the case. There's just no way that makes any sense. And so we wanted to let him know that beforehand. And we had found quite a few things that pointed to the fact that probably wasn't the case, but we just didn't have there it is.
Yeah,
there's the concrete thing. It was a bunch of well, if you think about this and you look at that and, you add that to this, then it seems like, and I don't want to write an article that's saying, hey, this is probably wrong. Here's why. Kyle at 9 to 5, Kyle Bradshaw was able to kind of piece it together right about the same time as, because sometimes I forget in all this, like we have a really responsive Google rep. And so I was like, well, just ask him, like, what's going on? And so he got back with us right about the same time Kyle had published his article, kind of piecing all this stuff together. And it was like, I linked to Kyle's article because, good job. You
did some
kind
good
of solved
research.
this.
Yep.
But also, we just talked straight to Google, and Google said, no, that's not what's happening. Like, it's being replaced with just a different version. So basically, the ability to unlock your Chromebook and sign into your Chromebook both. So, like, say you turned the thing off and turned it back on, and you're not signed in anymore. That used to be handled with Smart Lock, and very poorly. It generally didn't work, and sometimes it did. But you could open up a Chromebook, and sometimes it'd be like, "Hey, unlock your phone," and you'd unlock it, and you'd touch your profile, and it'd just sit there.
Yeah.
For me, more often than not, it was. I mean, I have a relatively long password. It was about halfway through my password. If it did come on, sometimes it doesn't come on at all. But it's like you sit there and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait, and then you're like, "Fine, I'll type my password," and you start typing. And it's like, "Hey, I'm going to turn green now." Like. Okay. And it's hit or miss on both the login and Chrome unlocking stuff. It's always been kind of crummy. But in our Chrome OS 98 video we showed like, hey, there's a flag for a revamped version of this, and it was working okay back then. It's working really well right now. You can turn it on even in stable, and it's super fast. But they've removed the whole login part of it, so it's not looking for that anymore. This is just an unlock feature. So just like the fingerprint scanner would be on a Chromebook like the CX9, if you have turned the thing off and you're logged out, the fingerprint won't log you in. You have to log in first, and then you can start using biometric stuff to get in. Same thing on your Android phone. If you turn your Android phone off and turn it back on, you're going to have to put your pattern or your PIN or something in first, which I don't know how that's more secure than biometrics, but whatever. That's how it works. And so that's kind of generally the case with most things that have biometric support. And maybe that's, I don't know, in case you've been logged out, it keeps you, like if somebody's knocked you out, like they can't just log in with your fingerprint. They're going to have to know some personal information too. Perhaps that's why. I don't know. But that's what they're moving to with this. So just like the fingerprint does right now on Chromebooks, you'll actually see if you watch that video, Chrome OS 98, you'll actually see the thing in motion, and it's right there where the fingerprint scanner is. And so they'll be side by side if you have both, and if not, it'll just be unlock your phone. It works super fast. All they were getting rid of is the login feature. The login to your Chromebook feature is going away, and so they're like, hey, we're getting rid of this feature, therefore get rid of all this stuff. And so it did read like they were getting rid of the Smart Lock feature. They're not. They're getting rid of the sign in part of the Smart Lock feature. And so it was a little confusing.
Yeah.
And then, it's so funny. Like certain things will go out, and it's like people are like, I don't know if that's true or not. And we've had this happen before too, where we've put out news and it was wrong.
Yeah.
We had to issue an update, and those articles, it just never seems to fail. You put something out and you're like, oop, that wasn't right, and it just blows up for no good reason. And that's kind of what happened with this one. Like we haven't seen a story from Chrome Story kind of go decently viral in a little while, and that one did. And I hated it that we knew like that this isn't right.
Right.
It's good. Everyone's gonna have to go back and update. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, see, you don't know what he's talking
like
about.
The great Safari debacle of 2020 or whenever that was.
One of our most popular articles of the year.
Yeah, that time when Robbie told everybody that Safari is gonna be a Chromium browser. It was a good fake though. The guy
who corrected you?
It was.
Was it developer or something, wasn't it? Or was it?
Jeez, it came from a lot of places.
Yeah. Well,
Robbie got flooded.
Yeah.
That was a poor professional day for me.
Hey, we've built this website. People trust you. And then you just lied to them?
Just lied to
You
them.
just lied to them
Well,
like that?
to be fair, I lied to myself too.
Sometimes we make mistakes.
Yeah.
My first one I ever did, I reported that MediaTek was making a Chromebook.
Oh my god.
MediaTek. That does not make laptops whatsoever.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Also, Qualcomm's going to make a couple.
Yeah,
I think
guarantee it.
Intel's going to make some too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
What brand is that? Intel.
Intel.
brand.
You are in the hardware business? Nope.
Yep.
Or now. Chromebook said so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's easy to see some of those
Yeah,
things sometimes.
and it happens.
And read it.
I mean,
and especially with that one. Like, because even though I knew like there's no way, I kept reading it like maybe they are
Yeah.
getting rid of it. And
Right.
It's Google,
Yeah.
they kill stuff all the time.
Some weird thing they might do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows?
But, it's good that at least, we were able to dig in and get the correct information out there. And yeah, everyone should check our website when they're writing about Chromebooks.
They
Everyone
absolutely should.
all of them.
Come on. All right, folks. I think that's it for today. We appreciate you all tuning in and listening and watching. And we'll be back next week. So we'll see you.